from this land, from land of Hussein, from land of Abbas, I would like to send my deepest condolences first to Imam of our time, then to all of you dear brothers and sisters who are watching this live show at the moment. So after saying a humble salam to all of you dear brothers and sisters, I invite all of you to tune in inshallah with us within the period of time that we are live from land of Hussein, and inshallah we will discuss the next values of the other values of Karbala, the other lessons that we can learn from Karbala and the movement of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, discussing with the respected guest Sayyid Ali Al-Nawab, who is here in the studio with me. So let's welcome the respected guest Sayyid Ali Al-Nawab. Assalamu alaikum Sayyid, and welcome to the studio.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and my kindest salutations to the Imam of our time, and I pay my condolences again for the anniversary of the martyrdom of Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, and to my dear respected brothers and sisters watching us live here in Karbala al-Muqaddas.
Thank you so much, Sayyid. So as every other night, let's start the show with the humble salam to Imam Hussein alayhi salam and Brother Abbas alayhi salam on behalf of the respected viewers who are watching us, and inshallah after that we'll start the discussion. Please.
Inshallah. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، صلى الله عليك يا ابن رسول الله، صلى الله عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين، صلى الله عليك وعلى أمك الطاهرة فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، صلى الله عليك وعلى ولديك الهمامين علي الأكبر والإمام السجاد زين العابدين وسيد الساجدين، وعلى أصحابك والمستشهدين بين يديك ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولاي يا أبا الفضل العباس يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك وعلى أمك الطاهرة فاطمة أم البنين، السلام عليك وعلى أختك الحوراء زينب ورحمة الله وبركاته.
أحسنت. As all of you dear brothers and sisters, respected viewers, witnessed and watched the last night, we talked about the aim and the objective of Imam Hussein alayhi salam by his movement. So in the narrations of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam for the Zeyarat al-Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, we read the following sentence: فبذل مهجته فيك ليستنقذ عبادك من الجهالة وحيرة الضلالة. So this sentence shows the objective of Imam Hussein alayhi salam for his movement, and it's indeed the greatest objective ever, because Imam Hussein alayhi salam, as he's a great individual, indeed his objective and his goal is also a great goal. But there's a question for every person who reads the history of Ashura and looks at the happenings that happened in that time. Why Imam Hussein alayhi salam had his family, his wives, his children, the little girls and boys with him during this journey, which he know that will end into his martyrdom and his companions' martyrdom. So this is the first question. Then inshallah we're going to start with the discussion for this night. So let's listen to the answer, which is going to reveal to you by the respected guest Sayyid Ali Al-Nawab. Sayyidina, please, we will listen.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And thank you for the introduction, which opens to us many doors regarding the revolution of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, where if we come to think, how did Imam Sadiq alayhi salam explain to us that the goal and the aim of Imam Hussein alayhi salam for going to Karbala was to save mankind from deviation. And one could ask, if Imam Hussein alayhi salam came to Karbala and stood in front of the enemies and fought a brave battle, he himself, his family members, his companions were martyred, how would have he been able to, until today, where we come and sit down and say Imam Hussein saved humanity with the sacrifice, how would we come and say that if Imam Hussein's whole plan of the revolution had ended in Karbala in the afternoon of Ashura? The answer to that question is that Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his plans for the revolution was to take the ummah and the climate that the ummah was living in at that time into a different dimension. Why? Because Bani Umayyah had degraded the ummah and their intellect and their morals to an extent where they took them out from the dimension of Islam, from the realms of Islam. So Imam Hussein, through his plans, he wanted for this revolution to have a historical dimension in the memory of the ummah for the next generations to come. They will still be able to remember the events of Ashura and at the same time learn and implement all of those achievements in their daily lives. How was Imam Hussein planning to do this? If we could come and say that if Imam Hussein alayhi salam was all alone on the plains of Karbala on the day of Ashura. Yeah. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he himself knew that the battle, the physical battle between his army and the army of Bani Umayyah was going to take few hours and everything would have ended. Yeah. And this is what happened. Sure. It only took few hours from after the morning prayers until the afternoon, until Salat al-Dhuhr, after Salat the afternoon prayers, everything had ended. Yeah. And that would have been kept in the memory of the Muslims and the memory of the people that noticed this event for a week or two, a month, and everything would have gone back to normal.
And they would forget that, okay, how dreadfully Imam Hussein was martyred and how painful Imam Hussein how painful Imam Hussein martyred in that area, in that place. Yeah.
Exactly. How could they forget? One might ask, okay, Imam Hussein is not a normal individual. He is the grandson of the Holy Prophet of Islam, and we have had many narrations. The companions, the Sahaba, they used to see how the Holy Prophet treated Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He is the son of Ali, Amir al-Mu'mineen. He is the son of Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. How could the Ummah forget such a tragic event? Well, the answer to that is very easy, very simple. Because of the corruption of the political system, because of the media and the propaganda campaign used by Bani Umayyah and the authorities at the time, they had made people come to believe that someone like the grandson of the Holy Prophet of Islam had risen against the Imam of his time.
And he is Khariji.
He is Khariji. He is outside the religion of Islam. He is no longer classified as a Muslim.
Allah.
Hence, we will come to give you examples how when the caravan of Imam Zain al-Abidin and Lady Zainab and the orphans came and arrived in Sham, people standing by the Grand Mosque of Sham, Al-Jami' al-Amawi. Yeah. They were standing there, standing by the masjid, apparently coming out from the masjid from prayers or just going in. So they were inhabitants of masjid. They were people that used to pray, they used to recite the Quran. They come and speak to Imam Zain al-Abidin in a manner that one would not speak like that to his enemies. When an old man came to Imam Zain al-Abidin and told him, I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he has overpowered so-called the Amir al-Mu'mineen, the commander or the leader of the Muslims upon you and upon your father.
Allahu Akbar.
Alhamdulillah alladhi qatalakum wa fadahakum. And all of these sentences that one is ashamed to repeat.
Yeah.
How can you speak in such a manner to an infallible Imam whose presence is a sign of mercy amongst you?
Is Khalifa of Allah on earth.
So here Imam Hussein alayhi salam, as part of the planning for the revolution, it was that he had planned for the family to join him in this path. Many questioned,
Yeah.
from his family members, from his friends, from his relatives, from the wives of the Holy Prophet, Salama, others. O son of Rasulullah, why are you taking your family with you?
Yeah.
Leave them behind. Leave your sister behind, leave your wives behind, leave the children behind. If it's a war, if it's a battle, and you know how dangerous and how evil these people are, and no doubtedly we know you are going to be killed. Now, how are they going to treat these children? How are they going to treat this family? Imam Hussein alayhi salam, at that time, because he knew the spies and those around him,
Yeah.
they were not of the same intellectual caliber to understand why Imam Hussein was taking his family. And at the same time, he did not want to reveal the strategy that he was going to follow. So he gave an excuse, which was a genuine excuse, that Sha Allah an yarahunna sabaya. But why Allah wants to see them as captives, he did not reveal. Because the whole intention for the family to be present in Karbala, for them to see and to narrate.
Yeah.
So even the little children, even Sayyidah Ruqayya, the little Ruqayya, daughter of Hussein, she had a major role to play in this event. Every single individual present in the caravan of the Usara, in the caravan of the captives, they had a responsibility. They were not there just because they happened to be there. Imam Hussein alayhi salam gave each one of them a responsibility.
Sure.
So that's why when someone asks about the presence of the family of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in this whole event, taking them from Medina to Mecca and from Mecca to Karbala, and them being present and looking at this tragic scene of men, of warriors, of brave individuals falling on the plains of Karbala, one after the other. If one group of people had an argument, just an argument in front of you, by looking at the scene, the women and the children present in that scenario would be afraid, because when two groups of people have an argument, their voices are raised,
Yeah.
they become physical, they start using their body, their arms, and this itself enters fear into the hearts of the women and the children, let alone the aggression that was practiced against Ahlul Bayt, the aggression and the violence that was used and practiced against the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. As Umar ibn Sa'ad informed Hur, when Hur came and told him, are you seriously planning or thinking of fighting Hussein son of Fatima? Umar ibn Sa'ad explained to him, yes. And the simplest thing that will happen, that's the simplest.
Yeah.
أبسطها أن تطير الرؤوس وتسقط الأيدي.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
I will fight him to an extent that the least will happen, that heads will fly and arms will be cut. Now we try to imagine these women and children. It was enough for them to see this scenario, let alone be taken captives. But they all were included in the dua of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Oh Allah, bring down sabr,
Yeah.
bring down patience upon their hearts.
Yeah.
So now we understand why Imam Hussein had brought the family and the children to Karbala.
So now you talked about the aim and the goal of Imam Hussein alayhi salam for taking his family, his household with himself through this dangerous journey. But thinking from the other side, from the Bani Umayyad and the Umar al-Sa'd army, as you said that they were planning to kill everyone, to behead everyone, and to cut the arms of everyone who was in that field at the moment. So why did they took the family of Imam Hussein alayhi salam as captives? Why they captivated them?
Ahsant. Here, as we explained, on one side Imam Hussein wanted to continue the message of the revolution, and from the aspect, from the angle of Bani Umayyah, they wanted to annihilate and obliterate any remembrance of Ahlul Bayt.
Yeah.
They wanted to annihilate Islam. So by taking the hostages and the family as captives, it was in their knowledge. They thought that by doing this we are going to contribute towards degrading and defaming the family of Rasulullah. Because now we are going to use propaganda, and their propaganda worked to a certain extent, where some people in the route from Kufa to Sham, they passed through locations like Mosul, like the outskirts of Iraq, entering Sham. Some villages, they did not welcome the captives and the hostages.
They hated Imam Ali alayhi salam.
Why? Because of the propaganda that was used against Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So Bani Umayyah, they thought by doing this, we are going to lessen the honor and the respect of the family of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in the hearts of the so-called Muslims. But in other areas, in other locations, we see that no, there were certain areas, certain tribes and certain clans, they opened their homes and they opened their villages to welcome the family and the captives of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So here, Bani Umayyah thought by taking them captives, we destroyed their men, we killed their men, and by doing this we are going to work towards finishing the rest of the family off. We don't want to allow anyone to remain. That's why on the day of Ashura, Umar ibn Sa'ad said and ordered his men, احرقوا بيوت الظالمين لا تبقوا من أهل هذا البيت باقية. I don't want anyone, any single person to remain from this family. Because they themselves, they knew, as someone described, or it was Yazid in fact, in the courtyard of Yazid, when they asked, why don't you allow Imam Zainul Abidin, and we are living in the night of the martyrdom of Imam Zainul Abidin, when Imam Zainul Abidin asked if he can go up the minbar, the pulpit, to speak certain words, Yazid told those around him, when he was questioned, why don't you allow him? What is he going to be able to say? He is weak. He's just come out of a war, out of a battle. He told them, كبيرهم لا يقاس وصغيرهم جمرة لا تداس. These people are not normal people. Even the youngest family member is as if he's a heated coal that when you step on it you will burn yourself. So here Bani Umayyah thought they were going to destroy the Ahlul Bayt, but on the other hand, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, as we stated, he had planned for the family to be taken as captives, because every location they passed through, they gave sermons, they spoke out, they gave lectures. Which takes us to the next point, is that what is the strategy that was used by Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam to show and degrade the position of Bani Umayyah?
Zayn, actually, I was thinking of a very famous hadith from the Holy Prophet Muhammad, which says that Husaynun minni wa ana min Husayn. Hussein is from me and I'm from Hussein. We all know that Husaynun minni means that, okay, Hussein is my grandson. And so this is okay. But when the Holy Prophet Muhammad says that ana min Hussein, most of the lesser scientists and the scholars, they say that it means that Imam Hussein Isam is going to continue the revelation, is going to continue the call for Islam and invitation the people to Islam through his movement.
Yeah.
So knowing this and just noticing the aim and objective of Imam Hussein alayhi salam by taking his family, how do you think that the captivity of Ahlul Bayt continued the revelation after Ashura throughout their journey?
By you mentioning this narration from the Holy Prophet of Islam, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him and his holy progeny, where Rasulullah outlined that the fact that I am from Hussein means that Hussein is going to continue carrying the banner of Islam after me.
Yeah.
And there was a conspiracy practiced by Bani Umayyah to empty the core of Islam from the laws and from the rituals and from the signs and symbols of Islam to be practiced by the Muslims. So they wanted to disconnect this link and connection between people. Hence Imam Hussein alayhi salam, by coming to Karbala and by his family being taken as captives, he continued the message of Islam, which Bani Umayyah wanted to empty the core of it. They wanted to annihilate. They wanted to destroy. First of all, the captives, how did they continue the revelation of the Holy Prophet of Islam? The first point that they done was to highlight the fact that they were Muslims. As we said, Bani Umayyah's propaganda was saying that these people are Khawarij. They have nothing to do with Islam. And here Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam and Lady Zainab alayhi salam, through their speeches and their sermons, you see they highlighted the fact that we are Muslims. We bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that the Prophet of Islam is our grandfather.
So the first step was to show whole people that Yazid is lying.
Ahsantum. That when Yazid is saying that these people are non-Muslims, they are Khawarij, they wanted to counter that argument, to remind people, to get them to regain consciousness, because it's as if they were confused.
Yeah.
And I just remembered the very important point, is that Bani Umayyah, they knew that the caravan of the Usara, the family of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, is going to enter Sham. Days before it, they prepared Sham
To celebrate. Allah Akbar.
They put up all the decorations, they wore their Eid clothes.
Just as they do in any feast or any
Exactly.
Eid, Allah.
But one other thing that added to that confusion, as I said, people were confused, is that they brought barrels of wine.
Allah.
They brought barrels of wine from outside Sham, from the adjacent governments, from the Romans, from the other emperors, to feed this wine to the people of Sham, so they can be intoxicated. So when Lady Zainab or Imam Zain al-Abidin or anyone was to speak out, these people will be drunk.
And they don't understand what
they will not be able to understand what these people are saying. So they do not turn over the government.
Yeah.
So that's why when Lady Zainab alayhi salam or Imam Zain al-Abidin or even Sayyidah Sukaina spoke out, they spoke in a manner that even them being intoxicated, they will wake up.
Allah. It says that they narrate that those who hear Sayyidah Zainab Salamullah alayha talking, they said that كأنما تتكلم عن لسان أبيها. It is just like Amir al-Mu'minin, Commander of Faithful, is speaking, not Lady Zainab, because of that kind of manner of talking and speech that just Lady Zainab let out in that position.
Ahsan, the way that Lady Zainab spoke out raised heads, because the last time they heard that tone,
Yeah, but
especially in
Commander of
Kufa,
Faithful.
was from her father Amir al-Mu'minin.
Salatullah wa salam.
So when she started speaking, they said, this is a familiar voice, this
Yeah.
is a familiar way of talking. We have heard this way of talking before. And that brought back images of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib and how kind and merciful he was to them. So when Lady Zainab alayhi salam wanted to start to speak, in the narration it is narrated that she pointed,
Yeah.
أومأت بيدها.
Yeah.
She pointed towards the camels, they all settled.
Allahu Akbar.
And all the people, because they were chanting,
Yeah.
they were shouting, they were,
They
speaking.
were very busy, they weren't calm.
Yeah. So, heads being put on display, women and children shackled and tied with ropes. It's not a normal scene.
Yeah.
So, أومأت بيدها فهدأت الأنفاس.
Allah.
Everyone calmed down. They didn't calm down, or Lady Zainab did not want them to calm down to ease what they are seeing. No, because through speaking, she made an eruption start inside them.
Yeah.
She wanted them to calm down so they can
listen
listen
and
and
understand.
listen and understand what this lady is going to say. Lady Zainab alayhi salam told them, أتبكون? Now that I say that I am the daughter, the granddaughter of Rasulullah, you cry? Where were you on the plains of Karbala when you yourself called and invited my brother Hussein to come? أقبل إلينا فقد أينعت الرؤوس. You invited my brother. You sent him letters saying, come, O son of Fatima, we are ready, we will support you. We have had enough. And again, in Sham, as I revealed a minute ago, that the propaganda had confused people that these people are not Muslims. So when Imam Zain al-Abidin replied back to that old man when he said, I thank Allah for destroying you and killing your father and his companions, Imam Zain al-Abidin said, Ya hadha hal qara'at al-Quran? Have you recited the Holy Quran? The man said, yes. What in the Holy Quran do you want to tell me about? Imam Zain al-Abidin told him, have you read this verse? قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. The old man said, yes, I have read and I have heard this verse. Then Imam Zain al-Abidin said, Wallahi nahnu al-qurba. That family, that progeny that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the Holy Prophet had asked you to respect and to love and to adore, we are that progeny. That old man was amazed. Ya hada, O old man, have you recited the following verse? إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. He said, نعم, yes, I have read. Wallahi nahnu ahlul bayt. And then the man said, by Allah, you are that family, you are that progeny? Imam Zain al-Abidin said, نعم نحن ahlul bayt. The old man started speaking out. He stood on the side of Imam Zain al-Abidin. A while ago he was against Imam Zain al-Abidin. But now he started speaking against Yazid. Yazid heard that this old man has turned against him. He sent his generals to go and kill him. He was afraid that one person will start speaking out and eventually he will pull the others as well. So the first practice that was used by the captives was that they wanted to remind people that we are the message, we are Islam, we are the Muslims, we are the progeny of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam.
Allah. Sayyidina,
This
actually, I'm sorry, we've got only about 14 minutes to the end of this show. I don't know if there's still uh, things that you
there
would
is
want
an
to add. Yeah.
there is another example
Go ahead.
of how Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam informed them about who they are, who he was, who his family were. When Imam Zainul Abidin said, بأبي بأي عين تنظرون إلى رسول الله.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. They just introduced me, told me that they have extended the time of the show, so we've got 28 minutes to the end of the show. So,
Alhamdulillah.
yeah.
Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam continued in telling them, now that you know who we are in the hereafter and on the judgment day, how are you going to put your eyes in the eyes of Rasulullah? What excuse are you going to give him? بأي عين تنظرون إلى رسول الله إذ يقول لكم قتلتم عترتي وانتهكتم حرمتي. Now you find out that now you know that we are the Muslims and Yazid is the infidel, Yazid is the oppressor, Yazid is the one that killed the family of the Holy Prophet of Islam. What are you going to say to the Holy Prophet of Islam? Lady Zainab alayhi salam outlining that Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he was the genuine leader and he was the original leader and he was the Imam, he was the Ma'soom, and you, by following Yazid ibn Muawiyah, you have destroyed your own lives. Lady Zainab, what did she say? She said, وَكَيْفَ تَرْحَضُونَ قَتْلَ سِبْطِ خَاتَمِ النُّبُوَّةِ. How are you going to explain the fact that you killed the grandson of the Holy Prophet of Islam? See, Imam Zain al-Abidin, Lady Zainab concentrated on getting them to feel bad, attack them directly. The first strategy was to show and prove that we are Muslims.
Yeah. And Yazid is lying.
Ahsantum.
Yeah.
The second strategy was to show them and to make them feel bad and to feel sorry for what they have done. Now, this is not only a problem of Yazid. Yazid was not able to do what he done if it wasn't for you standing by him. So part of the problem and part of the responsibility falls upon you, O people of Kufa and people of Sham. وَكَيْفَ تَرْحَضُونَ قَتْلَ السَّبْتِ خَاتِمِ النُّبُوَّةِ وَمَعْدِنَ الرِّسَالَةِ. She repeated the fact that he is the one that carried the message of Islam. وَمَدَارِ حُجَّتِكُمْ وَمَنَارِ مَحَجَّتِكُمْ. He was the lantern of guidance for you. He was the one that was going to save and rescue you. Now, you decide now. You still have a chance. Now, this is Yazid and this is us. Now you know who we are and now you know who Yazid is. Will you still remain obedient to Yazid, or will you start coming back to the real message of Islam?
Regretting what you've done and coming back to Islam.
Some of them regretted. That's why they started showing their emotions. They started crying. And Lady Zainab organized a majlis there and then in the courtyard of Yazid and in the palace of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad.
Majlis for Imam Hussein.
A majlis for Imam Hussein. Okay, some might ask, is it appropriate at that time you are being taken as captives and these soldiers and guards and the ruler is sitting and people are looking at you? Prove your innocence. Why are you organizing majlis? Why are you making people cry? The answer is through crying and through the majalis was Lady Zainab able to prove to them who she was.
So that's why until now we have majalis, we have crying for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, because whole this program is continuing throughout history to show us the same meaning and the same goal of Sayyidah Zainab salamullah alayha up to now.
This is the beauty of the rituals of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. the sha'air of Imam Hussein continues to reliven the spirits and the souls of people throughout history. So another scenario like the scenario of Karbala does not or is not repeated. So people are not being pulled away from Islam. Now imagine if we did not have Karbala.
Yeah.
Imagine if there was no rituals, if there was no Muharram, there was no Ziyarah, there was no Arba'een, people did not dress in black, people did not sit down and speak about
remember
Imam
the story
Hussein.
of Imam Hussein alayhi
There was
salam.
no remembrance of
Yeah.
Ashura. Do you still believe that people will still be holding to the message of Islam?
Not at all.
Because today it's very obvious. We see how the other schools, we see how the other sects, the other groups are reacting towards Islam. On the day of Ashura, the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, and they know very well that today, the day of Ashura, is the day that Imam Hussein was killed. What do you see on the television screens? What do you see on the satellite channels? The least you will see is parties and events, people standing and singing and dancing.
Yeah.
This is the Muslims, not the Western societies. These are the ones, individuals who months before in the holy month of Ramadan, they provide, they show live footage from Mecca and Medina and people reciting the Holy Quran and organizing programs to suit the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And months after that, on the day of Ashura, they show singing and dancing
Allah.
for the day that the grandson of the same prophet was killed and martyred on the day of Ashura. And then Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, the last example, and inshallah we'll continue on the next points, is that when he stood in Sham, he did not shy away from revealing who he was. He spoke out openly. He did not fear. Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, never did they fear or be afraid of anyone when it came that they have to speak out against tyranny and save the banner of Islam. Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam said, Ayyuhan nas, O people, Ana ibn Makkah wa Mina, I am the son of Mecca. I am the son of the one that was born in Mecca. I am the son of the one that brought you the rituals of Mina. If you say that you are Muslims and you go to Hajj and you rotate 7 times around the holy house of Allah, and you run and walk 7 times between Safa and Marwa, I am the son of Mecca and Mina. أنا ابن زمزم والصفا أنا ابن من حمل الركن بأطراف الردى. Now, have you forgotten who I am? I will remind you. I am the son of that man that your ancestors started arguing in Mecca, who is going to carry the black stone and put it back in the holy house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was my grandfather, the Holy Prophet of Islam, that rescued your ancestors and stopped them from fighting amongst each other. Our presence is a presence of peace,
Of mercy, yeah.
of mercy, which means that the person or the emperor or the ruler that you are obeying is against all of these values. We are the signs of mercy and he is the sign of destruction and evil. So through that, he was able to remind the people of Sham who he was, and by reminding them, they were able to come back and recognize that all of this event, all of Ashura, and what happened in Karbala, and this family being taken as captives, was illegal. Everything that happened to them was out of the law. Yazid and Bani Umayyah, they titled Ahlul Bayt as individuals going against the law, saying that we are the law, we have the legitimacy, we are the legitimate government, and these people are outlaws. But Imam Zayn al-Abidin explained to them that no, you have been confused. You have been lied to.
Have been lied to.
We are the law. We are Islam. We are the manifestation of the holy book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are the representatives of salah and fasting. So through this second point, that Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, the caravans of the captives, were able to continue carrying the banner of Islam, continue the message of Ashura, continue the message of the revolution of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, through pointing out in the first instance that they are Muslims and they are the family members of Rasulullah, and second of all, by pointing out, throwing the responsibility upon the people of Kufa and Sham, that you are the ones that made Yazid who he was. And these all gives us lessons.
Yeah.
First of all, that don't forget in any time or any place or in any environment the fact that you are a Muslim, that you are an individual that is looked upon as an individual that carries Islam in his heart, in your appearance, in your speech, in the way you react. What's more difficult to be in, and difficulty to be in, like the difficulty of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam? Their men were killed, but they still stood up and spoke and revealed the fact that we are the carriers of Islam. We are the ones that practice Islam. So we, the followers of Ahlul Bayt, after 1400 years, we should learn from Lady Zainab. We should learn from Imam Zain al-Abidin to continue being honored. Hold your head up high that you are the follower of Hussein. And you carry the slogan, Hayhat min nadhillah, that I will not stand to oppression. I will not stand to allow deviation to overpower truth and justice.
Exactly. You greatly talked about the goals and the objective of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and why Ahlul Bayt and the family of Imam Hussein alayhi salam were captive. So through this movement, we see, as you just mentioned, the objective and the teachings of Imam Hussein alayhi salam distributed and just spread amongst the people who weren't already present in the field of Karbala, but after that they understood that what has happened and how they have been lied to, so they started to understand that, okay, now we need to make our decision. Do we need to stay with Yazid or against Yazid? So this is what happened in that time, and this is a great point that, alhamdulillah, every year Shia Muslims renew their beliefs by performing and by just doing the Hussein rituals. But just with the captivity, with this procedure, with this journey that Ahlul Bayt did, with this journey that they did from Karbala to Sham, and looking at every point and every frame of this journey, what are the most important lessons that we as Muslims, as Shia, can get? As you just mentioned some of them, but I want you to go deeper to the lessons and give us some examples, some tangible examples, so we can understand that what should we do right now as Shia Muslims.
Ahsantum. One of the most important lessons that we can learn as a result of the way Lady Zainab or Imam Zain al-Abidin reacted towards the tyrants and stood in front of the tyrant, and how they did not allow the pressure of the difficulty and the fear that Yazid and his soldiers wanted to forcefully enter the heart of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. They did not allow that to happen. Because today corruption is everywhere.
Yeah.
Deviation and going off the right path is everywhere. There are different ways, there are different styles and different tools that enemies of Islam and people who are away from Islam will use to attract us towards shaitan and deviation.
So first we need to know shaitan, we need to know deviation, know those who are oppressing people.
Ahsant.
As in that time, Ahlul Bayt tried to tell people to know the lie of Yazid. I think that I'm just going to
Yes.
compare between these two
Yes,
situations.
because we said the first instance they highlighted the fact that we are the Muslims
Mhm.
and you are not the Muslims. You are not the people that you say you are, the ruler or the representative of Allah or the representative of the Holy Prophet of Islam. So first of all, you need to know what your belief is. You have to know who you are and who your enemy is.
Yeah,
And the second point is how you are going to deal.
with the enemy.
Are you going to allow them to to pull you towards evil? Are you going to allow them to press into your heart and say that you have to fear me, or you are going to stand in their fear in their face and with all honor and dignity show them that you are strong because your faith is strong, your belief is strong? The example that I would be able to give is that Imam Zain al-Abidin revealed and highlighted the spirit of challenging the oppressor.
Mhm.
He did not stay silent
Yeah,
because it was easy. It was very simple. They were tired.
yes.
Lady Zainab had gone through a lot, not eating very well, not resting very well. They did not allow them to sleep. They were still emotionally very tired. They used to see the heads of their beloveds in front of them crying, and every time they cried they were abused and they were physically attacked. So all of that would have been easier if they all stayed silent. Why would they need to attract the attention of the soldiers and the enemy towards them by speaking out? Lady Zainab would have been able to stay silent.
And that was a good excuse for every normal person that, okay, I was tired, so I wasn't able to say anything.
Naturally,
Yeah.
that's what people do when they feel tired and they feel depressed and emotionally they have been drained. They don't have any energy
To talk, to speak
to
out.
talk, to speak. They want to stay in a corner and rest
Yeah.
to regain their energy. But we learn from Lady Zainab and we learn from Imam Zain al-Abidin the fact that he was ill and the fact that he was going through all of those problems. They still stood up and they spoke out. So they showed us, Imam Zain al-Abidin, that you stand in front of the enemy and you challenge him.
Mhm.
And you need to sacrifice it. So be it, if I am going to lose my life. Nowadays, we don't have similar situations like that, that you are going to lose your life if you speak out. We have some sort of freedom. But Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they wanted to remind us that we did not neglect our rights. We still held on to our freedom. We did not allow Bani Umayyah to confiscate that freedom and that right from us. So nowadays we have more freedom. Why don't we speak out? Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam was asked, or Yazid asked those present, because he saw a young man, he saw a male amongst the group of women.
Yeah.
He told them, وَمَنْ هَذَا? Who is he? I thought all the men were killed in Karbala. They told him, هذا Ali ibn al-Hussein. And the Imam is listening. And then Yazid said a very terrible word. He said, أَلَمْ يَقْتُلُ اللَّهُ عَلِيًّا?
Allahu Akbar.
Again, he's trying his best to get people to
deceive
believe,
people, to deceive them, yeah.
to deceive them that I am on the path of Allah.
Yeah.
And Allah is with me.
And I have just done what Allah ordered and what Allah wants.
The fact that I killed Imam Hussein,
Allah.
is that what Allah wanted me to do?
And I'm sorry, I'm just interrupting you. And these days also, just in parentheses, we also see some people who use these kind of phrases, these kind of words,
Ahsan.
to say that, okay, we are doing exactly things that Allah wants in order to make their bad things, their bad deeds, normal and
Ahsant.
legitimate.
Ahsant. A very excellent point raised. So here Yazid said, أَلَمْ يَقْتُلُ اللَّهُ عَلِيًّا? Here is when it comes that things are being attributed to your religion and to your faith, you have to speak out.
Yes.
Imam Zayn al-Abidin here, he spoke out. He said, بل كان هناك عليا قتله الناس. Your men, your people in Karbala, they killed my brother Ali. Yazid looked at Imam Zayn al-Abidin. He told him, بل قتله الله. He was seeing that someone is defying him.
Yeah.
Imam Zayn al-Abidin again said, بل قتله الناس. Here, Yazid was outraged. أوبك الجرأة? You have this audacity to come and confront me? Imam Zayn al-Abidin confronted him, and Yazid here came and said, take him away. Which means that I want you to kill him.
Yeah.
Again, Imam Zayn al-Abidin teaches us as a lesson that when you speak out and someone replies back to you and counters your argument, don't hold back. Don't let go. Say, okay, I spoke out and they argued with me and that's it, I will stop here. Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, no, continue. How? He said, أبي الموت تهددني أبي القتل تهددني. You are telling me that you are wanting to kill me.
You're
and
threatening me?
And this is a threat to me? I am the son of Hussein.
Allah.
أن القتل لنا عادة وكرامتنا من الله الشهادة.
Allah.
This is normal for us. We are used to being killed by you and your ancestors. Imam Zayn al-Abidin, by saying this, he quieted him down. Yazid knew that the more he was going to speak, the more he was going to lose.
His bad face will be revealed to the people. Yeah.
In the same majlis, there is an individual that also gives us a very good example on how in difficult times, even if you are not the one who has been directed in the speech, you have to, when you see injustice, you have to intervene. And that old man, he was blind. Health-wise, he wasn't well. Again, when you are healthy, you should speak out. And when you are unable to physically support Ahlul Bayt, you support them with your voice and you support them with your tongue. Here, this individual by the name of Abdullah ibn Afif al-Azdi heard that Yazid was saying that you are the family members of Al-Khatib ibn Al-Khatib. He attributed falsehood to the family of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, that you are the false. Abdullah ibn Afif al-Azdi came out, and it's not easy to come out in the midst of the camp of Yazid.
Enemies of Allah.
Enemies of Allah, soldiers armed with swords, and it's very easy for them to order you to be killed, but he did not care. He came and stood in front of Yazid, and he said to him, Al-Kadhab anta wa abuk.
Such a brave
to such speaking in that manner to an individual that people used to come and bow and prostrate in front of him and title him Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. He came and told him, Al-Kadhab anta wa abuk.
You and your father are liars.
And in some other narrations that this was said in the courtyard of Ibn Ziyad, because there is a continuation to this. He said, Al-Kadhab anta wa abuk, Al-Kadhab ibn Al-Kadhab anta wa abuk, wa man ista'malaka wa abuh. That the one that puts you in this place, he is also on the falsehood. And Lady Zainab alayhi salam in Sham, to conclude our lessons from Karbala and how we can learn, our women, our dear female viewers and our male viewers, can we all learn from Lady Zainab in these nights? Because when we inshallah come to participate in the walk of Arba'een, we are walking in the route that Lady Zainab alayhi salam took to arrive in Karbala. We want to relive the words and the statements of Lady Zainab and practice it and use it in our daily lives. Lady Zainab alayhi salam said to Yazid, أَمِنَ الْعَدْلِ يَبْنَ الطُّلَقَاءِ, is it a justice that you, the son of Tulaqa, and she reminded him of his ancestors
Yeah.
in that event that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam told them, go, I will not punish you.
In the event of Mecca.
In the event of Mecca, him and his ancestors, his grandparents were kicked outside Mecca. اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. I will never practice my right to torture you and to imprison you. Which means that my grandfather Rasulullah, he has a right upon you. You are our servant.
Yeah. And we have set you free.
We have set you free.
Allah.
أمن العدل يا ابن الطلقاء تخديرك حرائرك وإمائك وسوقك بنات رسول الله. Is it right, O Yazid, son of Muawiyah, son of Abu Sufyan, and son of Hind? Shall I remind you what your mother done to our
Uncle
Hamza?
Allah.
That you protect and save the honor and modesty of your women and place them behind
The
curtains,
yeah.
and you reveal
The daughters of the
the
Holy
daughters
Prophet
of Rasulullah
here, just in this position.
in
Allah.
this position.
Thank you so much, Sayyidina. Thank you so much for this great lecture. And actually, all the parts of my body are shaking, and you know, by the great sorrow which has the story of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and the great lesson that actually we can learn from this historic event. Inshallah, all of us be true followers of Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salam alayhim ajma'in, and inshallah we learn truly from their lessons, inshallah, by performing these Hussein rituals, by crying for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, by attending Husseini majalis. Indeed, the word and the phrase of Sayyidah Zainab is going to continue. Wallahi la tamhuwa dhikrana. I swear to God that you are not going to vanish our remembrance. Thank you so much, Sayyidina.
Thank you.
Inshallah, tomorrow night we're going to be with you once again, so we will learn more and more, inshallah. Respected viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. May Allah bless you all, and from now, from this place, I invite you to tune in the next show that will be tomorrow night, inshallah. Have a great time. May Allah bless you, and labbaika ya Hussein.